the feed where the reels unwind. Off the real podcast, digging deep in the grind. 80 flicks, low cash, big dreams in the frame. No blockbuster hype, just the realest in the game. Reviews so sharp,
Oh,
we
Leon,
cut through
listen,
the
for
noise.
me, this has been
Break.
a long time coming. I've been absolutely dying to speak to you.
Hell yeah.
Keeping an eye on you for the last few years on the Indies over here in the UK. Obviously, I'm a little Englander, as you can tell.
Hmm.
So seeing you on my favorite wrestling promotion of all time, which Simon will also tell you, that's not me just saying that. That's the truth. But
That's a
first,
for real statement.
that's a for real statement. First of all, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to jump back to 2023.
Hmm.
The pay-per-view was Turning Point. It was in Newcastle. You were up against Haskins.
Yeah.
There that night. It was unbelievable that night. One of the many times I got to see you live. You were incredible. You were on TNA, and now look at you. You're a full-time member of the roster. You're the face of the X Division. How awesome is it to be Leon Slater right now? Sorry.
It's real cool, man. And like it doesn't really like the journey that I've kind of been on doesn't really hit me until you put it in perspective like that, you know what I mean? But even in this kind of short 18 months, like 2 year span, like so much has happened. So it's busy being Leon Slater, you know what I mean? But it's definitely cool to be Leon Slater in 2025. So I'm just trying to keep my feet on the ground no matter how high my head goes in the clouds and enjoy every minute of it, you know what I'm saying? So it's a good time to be me right now.
But if we do jump ahead right now, obviously the youngest in charge, you're still young lad. You're absolutely doing bits. You're doing numbers. You're absolutely doing amazing over there. The face of the X division, as I just said. But let's be honest, Slammiversary, you got an amazing kind of putting you over from Moose. Moose done a fantastic job with you. What a match that was, by the way.
Thank you.
Hands up, incredible. And then AJ comes out to give you the rub. What was that moment like for you?
Insane, man. And again, it really is like I've said it with a couple of things in my career so far, but if you wrote that in a book, like nobody would believe you. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's like, there's no way that would happen in real life. Like, it's too perfect. You know what I mean? Like, the first ever X Division champion, the guy that put TNA in his back for years, like, Mr. TNA is going to come out for me. Like, when I win the X Division championship, like, if you told me that a year ago, I'd say you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So it really is like another one of those surreal moments to add to the list. And I've said it a couple of times before, but the fact that AJ spent his time in his return, um, the first time he'd be in TNA for over a decade, you know what I mean? To share the ring with me and sing my praises is something I massively appreciate and I'm always going to be grateful and thankful for, you know?
Unbelievable, man. And your face, and I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but your face when that moment happens, did you have any idea AJ was coming out?
Absolutely zero.
That's
Absolutely
amazing.
zero. I feel I've said it to a couple of people when they've asked, but like if I knew, I would have tried to play it off so much cooler. You know what I mean? Like I would have like stood there like arms crossed in the ring, like, yeah, I'm here, man. Like, let's go. But once that like let's get ready to fly hit, I lost my marbles, man. You know what I mean? Like I was a kid in a candy shop. You saw me, like I was bouncing around, I was sprinting around the ring. I was just as excited as everyone else in UBS that night. So I'm glad I didn't get filled in or told if what or whatever the plans were, because I think that kind of genuine and authentic reaction made the moment what it was. You know what I mean? But yeah, I had zero clue.
And for someone like me, who, as I say, has been a TNA fan since like I'm Leon. I'll be honest with you. I'm in my 40s, and I've been a TNA fan for as long as it's been going. And
Hmm.
honestly, him coming out at that moment for a young Brit who's going to put that division on his back and run with it was incredible. Like it was a moment that you couldn't write, like you say. And I'm so glad you didn't know about it because you had the same response I had.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
So I need to ask you about this move of yours, this Swanton 450, because I've spoken to Kazarian. I had a little interview with him a little while back, and
Hmm.
still can't believe you can achieve this move. And Steve Macklin as well. He gave me the same sort of response, like, how the hell does this guy do it? When exactly did you realize you could pull this move off, and how did you know it was going to be your finisher?
I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe even
Wow.
before that, I'd definitely be doing it in training for like 3 or 4 years from this point. Um, but it was one of them things where, like, again, I've been training since I was way too young. You know what I mean? I was like 9, 10 years old when I started training. And obviously, the first thing you want to do when you get in the ring as a kid is jump off of the top rope, especially when you're a huge Jeff Hardy fan like I was, right? So whether it was on the trampoline or in the ring at training on the weekends or at a trampoline park or into a pool or into the ocean, like I've always been jumping off of stuff, you know what I mean? And I've been drilling like a regular 450 for I guess like over a decade now, you know what I mean? So and again, like I've always been pretty blessed to be like fairly athletic, and I've had pretty good body control my entire life, and I've been in sports and stuff. So as I kind of grew into my body a little bit more and I was able to jump higher, lift my weight, and just become more of an athlete, you know what I mean? I started pushing the boundaries of what a 450 could be. So it got to the point where I knew I had a really good like regular 450. I'd get great height, I'd have a bunch of hang time, and then eventually in training I started just playing around with it, you know what I mean? Like at the first week it was like, all right, let me see if I can stick my head out, and then I'd stick my head out. Come back the next week, okay, here go the arms, boom, okay, that wasn't quite perfect, so let me drill that for a couple of weeks. Now I got the arms and the head, let me get the legs, boom, and then it just kind of turned into what it is today, you know what I mean? And I think like when I knew it was right to become my finish is the first time I did it on a show. I remember, again, to peel the curtain back a little bit here, my opponent for the day, he was like, "Oh, what do you want the finish to be?" I said, "Oh, it'll be a 450." I didn't mention the swanton part, and he told me like when we came back afterwards, when he saw me go up into like the swanton motion, he was laid on his back and he was thinking like, "Oh, what? He's chickened out of the 450. Oh my God." And then I did the rotation and then it was the 450, right? So I think from his reaction alone and from the reaction that it got that night, and it kind of blew up a little bit on social media, even like back then before people had any idea about who I was. I think in wrestling it's so hard to innovate now because I feel like every move to ever exist has probably been done by someone somewhere, right? And the Swanton 450 was, as far as my knowledge, never been done before. If it has, it's been on like a trampoline in a backyard in Ohio or something, and some backyard wrestling fed. Um, but I think I'm the first person, or I know I'm the first person to bring it to a major company like TNA, like a bunch of major companies on the indies. And I feel like when you have something so unique and so special, it has to be the one to finish the matches. You know what I mean?
And I watch a lot of wrestling. I watch all the different promotions, but TNA is 100% my go-to. Never in wrestling can I ever remember turning away from the screen and not being able to watch, other than you being at the top of the Ultimate X and doing that. What goes through your mind to even attempt that?
So I was plotting that for a while. Like as soon as the Ultimate X match got announced, I knew that was what I wanted to do because like I've said this a couple of times, but ever since I've been in TNA, I've really tried to make a point of having these matches and making these moments that are going to live forever. You know what I mean? And obviously, the
Mm.
Ultimate X is a marquee match in TNA history. It's arguably like TNA's signature match. You know what I mean? So to have an opportunity for the X Division Championship in an Ultimate X match on one of TNA's big four pay-per-views at Rebellion, I knew it was the perfect stage for me to make a moment like that. All I had to do was think of the idea. So once I had the idea, all that was left to do was to execute it. So honestly, when I was climbing up there, nothing was going through my head. It was a combination of nothing and everything all at the same time. Because I think if I had any thought of like, man, this is actually really high, or like, oh, this might be a little bit stupid, I
You're
probably
not
would have
going.
just climbed back down. You know what I'm saying? Like any sensible person would. But I think like as soon as the adrenaline started hitting, I had that one last look at the crowd. I started climbing, and like I don't remember anything going through my head until I landed. I was winded. I was like, oh man, I'm still alive. And I remember it was Moose or AJ Francis, one of the two that was in the pile. They're like, "Hey man, you good? You good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a Hardy boy. Of course I'm good." Um, and that's when I kind of regained consciousness. Not that I ever got knocked out or anything, but yeah, my mind was honestly completely blank when I was climbing up, and it didn't really snap back again until it was all over.
Well, we're going to jump onto the Hardys in a quick second, but first of all, I've just mentioned quite a few big moments that you've already had in TNA and unbelievable. And anybody who is watching this interview or who wants to check any of these kind of matches out, we have the TNA app, the TNA Plus app, which absolutely go and check all that out. Being the face of the X Division, I believe you now have a promo code that you can throw out there. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, sir, I do. So for my UK and my Irish folks, you can use code Leon YIC. That's LEON YIC for a free month of TNA Plus. And obviously with TNA Plus, you get all the current Impact stuff. Every week you get your episode of Impact. Every month you get the TNA special. Every quarter you get the TNA pay-per-views. And of course, you get that whole 23, 20, nearly 25 years of legacy and lineage that TNA has built since it's existed. So if you are a fan of free stuff and if you're a fan of wrestling, Leon YIC on TNA Plus is the one for you.
Amazing, amazing. And if you use that code, you can go back and check all those things, obviously. But one match in there or a couple of matches in there is you've been tagging with the Hardy Boys, which I
Yeah.
imagine is like a massive, massive dream come true for you. What's that like getting in the ring with those guys?
It's incredible, man. And again, like it's one of these things where you always dream about it and you always like set it as a goal, but you never really think it's going to happen. Like I remember the position I was in TNA when Matt and Jeff kind of returned, really around like April, June last year when they had come back. And I wasn't anywhere near the position I was now. Like I was still working my way up. I was on Explosion every week, you know what I mean? I wasn't really on TV that much. And I said to myself, like, man, if I can do one thing with Matt and Jeff, like whether it's a promo, a tag match, and anything, that I can retire tomorrow and be happy. And obviously that time came in January where we had that promo and we had that first six-man tag against the system. And I think it was only meant to be like that one match, you know what I mean? But we clicked as a unit, and not only did we click as a unit, I think we clicked as people, you know what I mean? And that's been the coolest part about it for me. Like, not only have I got to experience being a Hardy Boy in first person. You know what I mean? I've got to build a relationship with Matt and Jeff, which number one, not a lot of 20-year-olds get to meet their heroes, let alone learn from them and get to know them and become close with them. You know what I mean? Like I've seen a couple of interviews where Matt calls me his son and it's Uncle Matt and Uncle Jeff now, you know what I mean? So to have that relationship with people that I've grown up idolizing is extremely special, man. It's extremely special.
Well, with that, and I might try and put you a little bit on the spot here, and I hope I'm not doing too bad of a job here.
No, here we go.
I love the Hardy Boys. I love you tagging with the Hardy Boys, but I would love to see boisterous behavior versus the Hardy Boys on TNA. You and man like Reese, is there any chance we could ever see that happen? Do you think?
So I think that's more of a question for Carlos Silva rather than me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I would also love to see that happen. Darius is one of my closest friends that I've made in wrestling. He's helped me a bunch on this journey so far. And you know, he's doing his thing, man. The Lyrical Dragon is killing it. He's on his world tour at the minute. He's in America. He's in Europe. He's got a big match on Progress Wrestling this weekend, maybe winning their championship. You know, so people say Darius is on fire, and he really is right now. And I think a super cool moment for me would to combine my one of my best friends from home and some of my best friends from the States. So we combine some young legends and some Hall of Fame legends and see what magic we could create. You know what I'm saying?
And the reason I ask is Bound for Glory is coming up. We have a final match between the Dudleys and the Hardys. And
Yeah.
obviously, you know, Edge and Christian are otherwise contained. They're over there overdoing their thing. You know, if we
Mhm.
could get that TLC 3 with you guys in there.
That would be insane. That would be wild, right? That like when you talk about dream matches, that's certainly up there, man. That would be wild.
Well, on that, I've got a few quick fires that I'd quite like to wrap up with. And
Yeah, let's do it.
first of all, past, present, future. What is an absolute dream match in TNA? You've already given us sort of like you would love to do that match, so maybe like present match or a past match that you would love to take on a competitor.
Um, Present match. If we're going from our roster and ignoring the NXT collab and all of that stuff there, if we're just strictly talking TNA, I want to say Myron Reed is someone I think sits
Mm.
very similar to the way that I carry myself, my style, my attitude, the way I look, even, you know what I'm saying? We're both rocking the baggy pants. So he's someone I'd definitely like to mix it up with. And in the future, obviously, unfortunately, he's just been kind of put on the shelf with a knee injury. But Casey Navarro is another one that I would love to mix it up with when he returns. I think we had one singles match just after Rebellion. But I think both of us, especially when he returns, I expect him to come back bigger, stronger, faster, better. I think we're both going to be in a lot of a different position than we were in our first meeting. So as a present, I'm gonna guess Myron Reed, and as a future, I want Casey Navarro when he comes back for sure.
I really, we don't need to ask about the past because AJ is coming up soon. So the exclusive there.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Not
I
giving
mean,
anything away. I
I
tried
hope
my
so.
best.
I know just as much as you. Honestly, I know just as much as you. I think like a lot of people have come to me and say like the moment at Slammiversary was like the passing of the torch moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where like I kind of get that, but in wrestling, for me, there's only one way to really pass the torch, and that is a match. You know what I'm saying? The youngest X Division champion ever, the first ever X Division champion, Mr.
Oh man.
TNA versus possibly the future Mr. TNA. I
Oh,
think the match writes itself, and it's something that I'm waiting to see just as much as you, man. I really hope we get to make it happen.
what do you? What does Leon Slater hope to achieve in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, damn, that's a long time.
You've done so much in the last two. What do you hope to do in the next five?
The next 5 years, damn. So I hope. Oh no, I know this X Division title reign will go down in history. So that's my priority right now. After that, I want a world title, whether that's the TNA world title, whether that's another brand's world title. But I've always said I by the time I'm done in wrestling, I want to say that I've completed it. You know what I mean? I've done everything that possibly is to do. So before I'm even thinking about going anywhere from TNA because this is my home, I love it here. I need that world title as well, and maybe even I grab the tag titles as well. But 5 years, man, that's a hell of a long time. So I think within this next kind of half a decade, I'm gonna build more moments that are gonna live forever, more matches that people are gonna speak about when they talk about some of the greatest matches to ever happen. You know what I mean? I really am striving for greatness here. So I think in the next 5 years, I'm just gonna keep building on this momentum that I've had starting in 2025.
And since joining TNA proper and being part of the locker room, part of the roster and everything, is there any one member of the roster, anyone veteran, anyone legend, anyone member of the roster that has like given you a gem that you've carried with you ever since, something to kind of live by?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think um it's hard, it's really hard to narrow it down to one. Like we have so many good veterans, whether it's Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young, Eddie Edwards are always like my big three that I go to. Mustafa Ali is someone that I always try and pick his brain as well. Obviously, Matt and
Yeah,
Jeff. Um, but if I was to pick one, I honestly can't remember who told me this. I really can't. Oh, it was AJ. It was AJ after Slammiversary. He told me to keep my feet on the ground and stay true to who I am. So obviously he's not in our locker room
yeah,
consistently, but his message is very much the same message that's being passed down through people that were his peers, like Frankie and Eddie and EY, people that shared the locker room with AJ. I feel like all of those veterans from that era kind of share the same values, you know what I mean? So for me, I'm trying to, no matter how high my head goes up in the clouds, I want to keep my feet on the ground and stay true to what got me here. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably going to be the most important thing for me, not only as a wrestler but as a person in the coming years as my success hopefully grows.
amazing. So on that, if you could send any one message to the locker room who are looking to come at you for this X Division title, what would that message be?
Anyone that wants to come up and stakes for the and challenge for the X Division Championship, I hope you're ready to make some history, man, because that's what I'm about. I'm about making moments. I'm about setting records. I'm about breaking records. You get me? So if you come in for the king, you best not miss, dog. I'm carrying the X Division into the future. And if you're not on my timing, you best get out of the way.
Yes, I love that, by the way. And I'm going to wrap out with one last question, and this is more of a message to the people like myself who have been watching you for the last few years on the British kind of indie scenes coming up, and now we see you on TNA every week, and you're doing your thing. You're the face of the X Division, which is absolutely amazing. If you could send a message out to the faithful, the TNA faithful, people like myself, about what's to come from Leon Slater, what would that be?
First things first, I want to say thank you to everyone that's been rocking with me since, whether it's the UK independence or whether you've just been along for this TNA journey. Like, I truly wouldn't be where I am without the support of people like yourself and people that have been following this journey. You know what I mean? So first and foremost, I want to say thank you. And as far as the future goes, buckle up, man, because we're gonna go on a crazy ride. I don't know where this ride's gonna take us. I don't know how we're gonna get there, but we're gonna get to the top, man. And I'm gonna be one of the greatest. And I'm glad that I've had a lot of people that have been down with me since day one. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a very fun ride, and I'm excited for it.
Well, again, the likes of Red Pro, Noah, Saul Pro over here, and then going over to TNA. I've been rocking with you, and Leon, you're doing amazing things. I've been dying
Thank you,
to
man.
speak and do this interview for a good year or so now, and we finally got it done. I
Hell
just
yeah.
come home from a holiday. Do me a favor one last time and let everybody know about your promo code for the TNA Plus app and all that good stuff, and then I'll let you go.
So for the TNA Plus app, my UK and Ireland folks can use code Leon YIC. That's Leon YIC for a month free of the best pro wrestling streaming service out there. You get me?
I love it. I love it. Right, man. I'm going to let you go. I've taken up far too much of your time.
Nah, you're all good, man. Thank you so much. Been a pleasure.